Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new music review. Welcome back to Stray Kids Week, where we are reviewing a Stray Kids album every single day of this week. We previously covered All In, and now we're working on the biggest project that Stray Kids have released as far as I can see, Stray Kids Replay from 2022, which has two sides, and it's fucking massive. 25 tracks. This is gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. Let's just get straight into it. With Fam Korean version. Now Fam we actually covered on All In, but it just was called Fam, so maybe that wasn't a Korean version of the track. I don't know. It's different runtimes by like 2 seconds, so maybe they are slightly different. I don't know. Okay, and that was Fam Korean version. Yeah, exactly as I thought. Pretty much sounded exactly the same as far as I could tell. Maybe it's different. I don't know. Sounded exactly the same. 7 out of 10 as last time. Next up is Connected. I just noticed that the song isn't working on the top bit, so I'll fix that in a moment. Yeah, next is Connected. It has Bang Chan in brackets, but I'm not going to write out each member's name when they sing a song. Okay, now it's Connected. Yeah, it was fine. A good solo act there from Bang Chan, but I don't know. He kind of felt a little bit strained when he was singing the chorus a little bit there. It was fine. Didn't really grab me too much. Kind of boring in some ways. Good vocal performance, but did strain a little bit on the vocal and the chorus. Put it 5. Yeah. Next up is Limbo. Okay, and that was Limbo. Yeah, another like solo ballad again. I guess that's what the first disc is gonna be. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Didn't really. I think he did a better vocal performance, definitely, than Bang Chan did. But just kind of like boring instrumental. Nothing really to separate that from other ones in any way, really. What was unique about that track in any way? It was completely just another ballad, right? And I don't think that they are good enough vocally for it to go, wow, that was really good. So that's another 5. Next up is Doodle. Okay, that was Doodle. Interesting instrumental. The kind of sound weird there. Not sure what that sample's from. Definitely no. It's obviously not a ballad compared to the other previous 2 tracks that were solos. Shangbin went for more of like a rap verse. I guess I enjoyed it more, but not really that much. I don't know. The instrumental was probably the most notable thing about the track. I kind of didn't really like grab my attention anyway. There was nothing to that was like, oh, I need to listen to what's going on here. This very much felt like a background track. Another 5. Unfortunate at the moment. Unfortunate that we're kind of getting. I feel like they as a group are much better together rather than their own solo track. I don't know if they're good enough as solo artists. I feel like they just work better as a unit. Next is Love Untold. Okay, and that was Love Untold. Hyunjin. It was okay. I think I prefer that to Bruce 3 tracks. Once again, a bit more of a song rather than the kind of like the rap verse we got from Changbin on Doodle. I thought the instrumental was probably what let it down. I think Hyunjin did a pretty good job on the track vocally. I just felt like the backing track was kind of lacking. Didn't really have any flavour to it. There's nothing different about it. It was just kind of basic, but still better than the Approved 3. I think that's a 6. I think that was pretty decent. Next up is Run by Han. Okay, and that was Run by Han. That was good. I actually liked that quite a lot. I think that was a definitely bit more unique instrumental to that one. I thought Han did a pretty good job vocally. I thought it was a little bit more unique than anything else we've had on the album so far. I think that was probably a 7. I think that was pretty good. I think everyone did a pretty good job on that one. Nothing crazy. I mean, it's not my kind of track that I would listen to per se. But, you know, it was very enjoyable in terms of what they put forward for that kind of song. A little bit more unique. And the instrumental was unique to itself as well. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. Next up is Deep End, which is Felix. Okay, now it's Deep End, and fuck me, that was boring. Holy shit. Holy shit, that was boring. What happened there? It was awful. Really, really slow piano ballad, and just Felix's like singing voice, like the deep tone, really just with that backing instrumental just did not rub me the right way. It was really, that was hard to listen to. That was really hard to listen to for me. And then like straining, I don't know who the other voice, unless that was also Felix, the high pitched vocal as well. I mean that was a 2. That's a 2 out of 10. That was genuinely one of my least favourite experiences listening to Stray Kids song. That was awful. Next up is Stars and Raindrops by Shungmin. So hopefully this is going to be a bit better. Okay, so that was Stars and Raindrops by Shungmin. That was not bad. That was not bad. I quite like that one, in fact. I think Shungmin probably had the best vocal performance in the album so far with that track. The instrumental was there. It was decent. Wasn't very bad or anything. It's just kind of, once again, it felt a little bit not as unique. But I kind of feel like that didn't have that much of an impact on that song. I thought that was just a genuinely pretty good bop, really. I think that's a 6 out of 10. I think that was above average. Next up is Hug Me. In brackets I.N. I don't know what that means. Another boring ballad. Another one. It's a lot of them on this album so far. If you can't tell, not a big fan of them. And some of them on this album have been pretty boring. Now granted, not as bad as Deep End. Not as bad. It was still boring though. The instrumental was boring. As soon as it started, I already was like, I don't want to listen to this song. Singing was okay. It's a 4. It's like, the vocals are fine. The backing track was boring and bland. Like, it's listenable, but like, I would never want to listen to it myself. Really, it's just the fact that the vocal performance is pretty decent is keeping it from going to like a 3 or a 2. Yeah, unfortunate. And last song on the A side is #Love Stay. Star Stay. And then we'll be on to disc 2. Okay, and that was #Love Stay, the last on side A. Oh, another ballad. Another slow piano ballad. Again. Stop making them. Why do you need an entire side of them? It was not as boring as the previous ones. That's all I'll say. It was a little bit better. By that I mean a 5 out of 10. It was perfectly passable. That's really. It's just my same argument is again like that. Kind of a lacking in flavor. Boring, slow, nothing unique really to it. Just perfectly passable, listenable track. Next up is Zone. Okay, so that was Zone, Bangchan, Changbin, and Han. It was interesting. The instrumental reminded me for some reason of an MLG parody. What was going on there? That was strange with like the air horns and stuff. What was that about? That was weird. It was okay. Perfectly fine. Vocally, instrumentally. Everything kind of did its intended purpose. There was nothing that kind of really stood out though about it, other than the fact that they were using like air horns. They kind of were going for almost like this. They kind of do this thing where they try to like hype up the audience in the track. I don't really think that worked in that song in particular. Yeah, it kind of, I felt like maybe it could have been a good song, but as it kind of progressed, I was getting a little bit bored. There wasn't really too much to it to separate from anything else they've done. Yeah, it's a 5. It's a 5. Next up is Close. Is Close or Close? One of the two. Okay, that was Close. Interesting kind of song of two halves. Initially, quite happy with that performance. I thought that was actually okay for the first minute and a half. However, the song felt like it really, really dragged itself out there. It did not need to be nearly 4 minutes. That was way too long. And my enjoyment began to slowly dissipate down. Overall, it probably would have come out as like a 6 or a 7, but ended up as a 5. Unfortunate. Really, really, really unfortunate. Next up is Streetlight. Okay, so that was Streetlight. Surprisingly, we're actually around halfway through the album now. That was again a little bit bland and tasteless. It just felt like I'm not getting anything off this album that feels like, oh yeah, this is a good track. There's no venom on this track, or Can't Stop. Like, Fam is the best track so far on this album because it felt unique and different. And that was on a previous album, on All In. So it doesn't feel like there's anything, this album doesn't feel like it offers anything different. It just feels like the same old kind of carbon copies of the same song over and over again. Just want something a little bit more experimental and different. Just give me something like Venom. There's nothing on here like that. Next up is I Hate to Admit, which I'm not going to do in lowercase like they've done it. I am going to type it like this. Please give me something good. Okay, so that was I Hate to Admit, Bang Chan. This is draining. I'm sorry if you are a Stray Kids fan watching this and you're wondering, Brandon, they're such good vocalists, they're such good songs. I think they're boring. They're just boring to listen to. I don't find them stimulating or entertaining in any way. It's just boring piano ballads, and it's the entire fucking album full of them. There's so many of this album that are like the same song. I would not be able to tell if you played 4 of the songs in here. I think Bang Chan's been in 3 songs. I think all 3 of them probably sound the same. I don't think there's been any difference in any of them. Just really, like, that one was especially difficult to listen to because it felt longer than it was. That one was like, how long was that song? 2 minutes 50. That felt like 4 minutes. That's a 4. Just unfortunate. I Got It is next. Han. Come on, Han. Come on. I know you can do it. Okay, that was I Got It from my hand. And you know what? That was better. That was much better. Bit more different. Bit more like a beat to it. Like a bit more like... That kind of felt a bit old school. It kind of felt like 2000s era beat. That was interesting. I like that. Strange, like, vocal at the end, like pitched up vocal. Whatever that was. I don't know what was going on there. And that kind of felt more like a dance track rather than a ballad. Just for that reason, it gets a 6. It's just much more enjoyable in the fact that there's this one song in a sea of ballads that's like not a ballad, and it makes it feel better than it actually is. Maybe if I listen to that again, maybe out of the context of this album, I might like it less. But I don't. In this album, it just feels like a breath of fresh air. Next up is Miss You by Hyunjin. Hopefully we're going to get something good here. Okay, and that was Miss You, and we're back to boring ballads again. Why is it like we get one song that's slightly interesting, but back to fucking ballads again? Just what do I have to do for this to just be a bunch of different kinds of tracks that just kind of flow into each other a bit more, just rather than just all piano ballads with the occasional hand track to break it up. What is happening? Yeah, really boring. Again, not. It's just a piano ballad again. It's just a 5. It's nothing to say about it. It's just boring. Lacking in flavour, lacking, like, the vocals are fine, that they can sing. They're not like top line vocalists, but they can sing, but it's just flavourless and boring. And I look forward to the songs to end each time, because it's just like, I don't want to listen to the same song over and over again. Next up is Macne on Top, IN, which I'm worried is going to be fucking another ballad. Okay, that's Macne on Top, and yes, much better, much completely different track on this album. Completely different. Some kind of weird Latin flavour to that one as well, with the brass. That was good. I like that. That was much better, much nicer. I reckon that was a 7. That was a really solid track. Everyone did really good vocally. The Latin kind of influenced instrumentals, really nice to listen to. Completely different to the rest of the album. Fantastic 7 out of 10. Thank God for that. Unfortunately, it's probably the shortest track. If I look at them, it's one of the shortest tracks we've had. Maybe the shortest so far. I think, is it the shortest on the album? It's the shortest on the album. And it's like the joint best one we've listened to. It's unfortunate. Luckily, we have got Han next, so hopefully, Han normally means we get something that isn't a ballad. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen here. We got Alien. Okay, so that was Alien. Still has this kind of, that's unfortunate, because Han has been kind of where we've been looking for the more unique tracks in this album so far. That was kind of back to that kind of slower type track. It wasn't a ballad per se, but a bit slower. Yeah, kind of a little bit boring again. Just vocally, I don't think Han is the best singer, really. It's still okay. I don't know. I didn't remember the choruses really. I kind of had bad verse syndrome. That's unfortunate. I think that's a 5. I think that's a bit unfortunate. Next up is Because. I can't spell Because correctly. And that was Because. Another slow ballad again. Fucking acoustic guitar and everything. There. Yeah, I'm really, like, I really want this album to end. I want this to end really badly now. It's really starting to drag. Just slow and boring. I mean, I think instrumentally it was actually not too bad. It was slightly better than some of the other ones, but vocally just kind of let down. I just don't think Felix is that good at all. I find him a little bit irritating to listen to in some ways. Maybe the choice of song on this album just is bringing that forward, because I don't remember hearing anyone who really grated on me in the other albums. It's just specifically here it seems to be a problem. So maybe just stop giving him ballads, please. He's not good at them. 4 out of 10. Just really disappointing. Next up is Piece of a Puzzle. Changbin and Shungmin. That was Piece of a Puzzle. Now, what do you guys think I'm going to say next? Do you think it was a slow, boring ballad again? Yeah, to some extent. It wasn't quite a piano ballad, wasn't like that. But it was still very slow and boring. It's really starting to take its toll as well. A 25-track song list as well, and most of the tracks feeling the same. Really getting to me here. Just boring, flavourless. Again, I mean, it's making my review sound repetitive, because that's what the album feels like. it feels repetitive. Like everything, it's just the same vibe and emotion throughout the entire album. And it's just unfortunate because whenever they do something slightly different, like in Mackinac on Top or Run, it really comes out really well in this album, and it's just ruined by constant ballads and slow tracks. It just really like bring the mood down as well. They just bring the mood down. It's just awful. Yeah, that's another 4. Really boring. Next up is Wish You Back. It's Han again. Please, Han, give us a track. It's not slow. Okay, and that was Wish You Back, and just, yep, continues the trend of just being a bit too slow and boring. Every track, I think there are tracks that are kind of getting a little bit more kind of upbeat. These past couple ones have been a bit more upbeat than the previous kind of slower tracks, but they're still, because of the vibe the album's seems to have been going for some reason, it makes everything else sound even more slow and boring. And that kind of track, I feel like in another album would have probably been a little bit higher than where I'm going to put it, but because of the album and just how slow the album's been, it kind of just settles into the same category as those, and it's just another 4. I'm so done with these songs. There's just too many of these slower tracks. That one was a bit faster, but I don't think Han did a very good job on that one. Again, he's a bit hit or miss of Han. What you're going to get. Next up is Happy, is also Han. Hopefully, it's a little bit better. Okay, and that was Happy, and a little bit better. It did pick up a little bit more there. It was, again, because whenever Han sings, he uses more of like an auto-tune kind of thing to it. It sounds a little bit different, but even then it's not used too much for it to kind of like sound that different. I don't know, it's just the album has been so long. I want to stress, the video for you guys is a lot shorter than what I've been here. I've been here for an hour and a half. I've been sat here for an hour and a half straight, and I have listened to three, maybe 4 or 5 songs so far that were remotely listenable, in my opinion, that I would listen to again. We have now listened to 22 tracks. On average, that means I've spent over an hour of my time on songs I didn't really enjoy that much. Like this is really dragging me down, this album, and yeah, it was perfectly fine vocally. The instrumental was okay. It didn't really stand out that much. It was more Han, really. It was kind of just pulling this track by himself. It was 5 out of 10. Perfectly fine track. Next up, we've got 3 more left. Next up, we have Up All Night. Bang Chan, Changbin, Felix, and Seungmin. Hopefully, we're going to get something in the last 3 tracks that's a little bit different. Okay, so that was Up All Night. That was a little bit different. Thank God we got something a little bit different in this album near the end. A bit more poppy feel to that, less kind of slow, a bit more interesting there. Not exactly like a dance track per se, but yeah, a different kind of vibe to it. The instrumental was fine. I thought it did a pretty good job of kind of picking up the tempo and the kind of style of track they were going for was definitely much faster. I thought the singing was okay for the vocals, did their job personally. Couldn't really tell who was singing what part. It just kind of blended together into its own kind of, just like one kind of verse almost. But yeah, it was a little bit better. 6 out of 10. A little bit better. Next up is Drive. Okay, so that was Drive. It was okay. It was fine. Once again, they kind of stopped with the slower songs at the end of this album. That's good, like a good thing. It didn't really sound like that much. It was it was fine. I think the vocalists were kind of the main point of that track. I think they definitely pulled that one along because the instrumental just didn't really stand out at all. The vocals kind of really had to carry them themselves. I feel like a better instrumental would definitely help with that track. That's probably a 5. 5 for Drive. And last but not least is Ice Cream, which has a full stop in it for some reason. And it's Hyunjin, so let's see if the album finishes with a banger. And that was Ice Cream by Hyunjin. A bit slower, a bit boring. Just, yeah, again, very much a song built on its chorus, that one. Don't really remember anything other than the chorus melody there. Yeah, pretty boring again, quite slow. Just 4 out of 10. Just that's all I can say. And finally, we're done with Stray Kids Replay. Oh my god! Overall, easily the worst Stray Kids album I've listened to. Easily the worst one. Just really nothing stood out on that album at all. Probably the best song was Fam, and that's an All In, which is unfortunate. So I don't think there's any reason really to listen to this album at all. I don't think there's anything, unless you love slow ballads, in which case you'll fucking love this album. I don't, personally. I think they're completely just boring. But if you do like that kind of track, you will love this album. Definitely give it a listen. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.